And we welcome you back to the WHTC Morning News for this Wednesday, April the 15th. Every first and third Wednesdays of the month, we are joined by author and blogger Diane Loew. Her bi-weekly feature, A Farm Life with a Farm Wife, and it's presented by Farm Bureau Insurance, Markup Agency. At 477 Chicago Drive, just west of US 31 in Holland. Call Mark now for a quote at 396-5728. That's 396-5728 for Farm Bureau Insurance, Mark Hop Agency. Diane Loew, author and blogger, A Farm Wife is how you can follow her on Facebook. And she joins us from her Hudsonville area farm to chat with us via Zoom connection. Diane, good morning and welcome back.
Good morning.
Glad you are with us this morning. And as we spoke a couple of weeks ago when we really got into the meat of, no pun intended, the Stay Home, Stay Safe executive order that's now been extended, and certainly the hardships that commercial dairy farmers, mom and pop dairy farmers, and farming in general, agriculture has felt because demand hasn't been as great since the Stay Home, Stay Safe. And while people might be buying more groceries and hoarding them a little bit, the institutionalized purchases have really taken a big bite into what has been a struggling industry in all, and that's the farm industry.
Yeah, I was going to kind of touch base on that. I'm on another group, and they were talking about why are farmers having to dump milk. And it was really kind of comical but frustrating at the same time, because I had people on there from all over the place saying, well, why don't you just sell it yourself? Or, you could just pasteurize it and you could bottle it, or people could come pick it up. And I was trying to explain to them that when you produce 100,000 pounds of milk a day, you can't pasteurize it. We spend our whole day milking cows. And she sent me a link on how to do it. She kept saying, well, I'm sure you could do it. It'll be a long day, but I'm sure you can do it. But that would be like over 11,000 gallons of milk we would have to pasteurize. So there's no easy answer to help us with the dumping milk. But I just thought I'd clarify a few things. Yes, we did get a letter from our co-op, and a lot of farmers did, saying they want us to cut back on our milk supply, whether culling cows or selling cows, however you want to call it, and that there would be a possibility, worst case scenario, that we'd have to dump it. So we have not had to dump milk, but I do know I have friends in Wisconsin, Florida, Pennsylvania, some in Canada that have all had to dump some milk. So we feel really fortunate. But some of the reason why there is a shortage, there should only be like one reason, and that would be because the store does not have enough room in the back to store the milk. We've got plenty of milk. There is no shortage of milk. In fact, one person was saying that when their milk gets picked up and it gets hauled to their processing plant, their truck driver will sit in the driveway for hours because there's so much milk there, and they have to wait for that to get processed before theirs can go. So it's just, there's a mix of reasons. One plant that would do milk cartons can't do gallon jugs. So there's plenty of milk. So if you want to help dairy farmers, just keep buying the dairy products and keep eating and drinking, because we just need to get it off the shelves and into your bodies.
Let me bring up a story, and I know that perhaps you can't do a full explanation of it, but I wanted you to get your reaction as a dairy farmer yourself. Democratic U.S. Congressman Ron Kind out of Wisconsin, western part of Wisconsin, wrote a letter to the USDA Secretary Sonny Perdue asking why the dairy margin coverage program has not been reopened. The margin coverage program, for those who are not into the agriculture industry, is akin to insurance in that it pays farmers when there's a gap between what it costs to produce milk and the price those farmers are getting for their milk. Kind says dairy farmers were struggling before the COVID-19 outbreak, and that the virus has made things that much harder for those in the dairy industry. Again, I'll put this with the preface, you're not totally familiar with that insurance program, but still, there are concerns.
Yeah, well, I think we signed up for it last year, but we didn't sign up for it this year. And I asked my husband about it briefly, and I don't exactly remember what he says. My brain can only hold so much, and after that,
Understandable.
so
Not understandable about the brain holding that much,
yeah.
but we understand that perhaps you're not have everything at the tips of your fingers.
Exactly, exactly. But one of the other things that I wanted to talk about was United Dairy Industry of Michigan. That is a company that helps farmers promote milk, and they go to bat for us. And they've actually been calling grocery stores and different places and telling them to get the milk out on the shelves, don't limit the milk and things like that. But they have a new program that I'm working with them. And if there's anybody who has a food pantry that's listening or watching, and they need dairy products, and they have space for a dairy cooler, and they are able to commit to keeping that dairy cooler full of milk or dairy products, or at least the good proportion of it, message me on my Facebook page. We are trying to find places for these coolers that United Dairy Company they're going to be giving these coolers away. I think they're going to have milk in it to begin with, but then we have to have a way to keep them filled up, because dairy is one of the best products for anybody, especially those who are struggling with having enough food on their tables.
Yeah. We all have to pitch in, and I have we gotten, and I'll ask you this as a dairy farmer, are you settling into the possibility that we might be in this type of situation for more than maybe another 3 weeks or 4 weeks, that this could be dragging on into summer as well?
Oh, I have so many mixed feelings on this. I don't know if you know about the Facebook page, Michigan Against Excessive Quarantine, Michiganders, I guess, against excessive quarantine. And they're all heading to Lansing today for the whole gridlock. And there's a fine line, because if we don't open some things up and if we don't do some things differently, there's going to be horrendous results from it. I think about, for instance, there's a lot of women who live in homes with husbands who aren't very nice. And when they can't get out, they have no escape. There are children who going to school was their only escape from a bad situation, and they're stuck at home. There's our returning vets and vets who are home that have PTSD, that need to be out and need to be busy doing something, and they can't get out. And there's greenhouse growers that are probably going to go under because they can't sell the products. You can't set the flowers on the shelf for 3 months and then all of a sudden say, here you go. It's a bad situation all around. I would not want to be the one in charge, but there has to be some common sense in this too. We're not Detroit over here. We are doing fairly well over here. Any person who gets sick is one too many. But the thing that concerns me is they keep talking about this, but if this is really a virus, like any other virus, it's never going to go away. I mean, it's going to be with us, right? So, there'll never be a time when it's not going to be a concern. So we have to learn how to live with it instead of being in fear of it. And I don't know what that looks like, other than the fact that we've got to get back to some sort of living, because there are going to be people who are dying, not just from the virus.
And that is that stems to basic questions about, saving lives and saving liberties.
Yeah,
And that is that I'll say it right now. It's in the crux of the debate right now
yeah,
that's going on in Lansing, and Governor Whitmer is one of those, and the executive branch is more of, we got lives that need to be saved, while others are saying, yes, we understand that, but saving lives for what?
yeah,
And
yeah.
there is, you're right, there is no easy answers, and uh, but get everybody involved in the process instead of just trying to be the Lone Ranger.
Right. And our milk prices are not good. Um, I tell my husband, don't look at the futures. It doesn't do any good. They've been up and down all over the place. There was a podcast I listened to last night that said that they will probably continue to go down until the middle of the year. And it's going to affect all farmers across the board. I read another article where they're going to try to get everyone to cut back 10%, cull their cows. Um, but the thing is, and I get that, I totally understand, too much milk, you got to figure out a way how to get rid of it, especially now. But when you cut back your 10% of your milk production, which brings you the money, that does not cut back on 10% of the bills that are coming in that you're struggling to pay now, that we were struggling to pay even before this. So it's really not looking good. There's a lot of farmers who are really concerned about, do we even buy corn seed? Should we be out in the fields? Are we wasting even more money? Are we going to be able to recoup? And like I said last week, I just feel like this is a good place. This is a setup for God to show up and show off, I hope. I'm really praying that there'll be something that happens, and that's all we can. We do what we do, and after that you have to rely on something. And for me, why not rely on the creator that started this whole ball of mud and everything rolling? So that's kind of where we are. We're just, like I said, we're doing what we're doing the best we can, as wise as we can. And then after that, we just have to let it go and wait and see.
She is Diane Loew. She is an author and blogger. Her Facebook page, just type in A Farm Wife, and you can get her updates through that. We'll put a link to that Facebook page when we put together this audio podcast on our website at WHTC.com. Diane, as always, thank you very much for joining us this morning, and we look forward to chatting with you again, I believe, in 3 weeks from now.
When we're free to roam about.
Well, let's hope that's the case. Diane, thank you very much. That is A Farm Wife with a Farm Wife, presented by Farm Bureau Insurance Markup Agency.